All right, everybody, welcome back to the deep dive. We love to really get into your requests, and today's a fun one.
Yeah, this one's interesting.
Yeah, someone sent in this quote, and it's really just one sentence, but oh, wow, it's packed. Residues of debt, residues of fire, residues of disease gradually increase, so they should never be kept. So much to unpack there, right? Like,
First off,
what are residues even talking about here? Is it like literal stuff left over, or is this more metaphorical?
yeah, it really makes you think because on one hand, you can almost picture it, right? The residues.
Yeah.
Like when they say residues of debt, I don't know about you, but I'm seeing like piles of bills, overdue notices.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Or like think about fire, right? What's left after fire? You've got the ashes, maybe some like charred wood.
Right, exactly. And disease too. Like you can think of the germs or, even just the feeling of being weak after you've been sick.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's where it gets really interesting because it's not just about the physical stuff, right? It's like there's this whole other layer of residue.
Yeah.
Like the stuff you can't see, but you can definitely feel.
Like the impact.
The impact, yeah, exactly. Like
Yeah.
debt, even if you finally pay it off, the stress it caused that can linger.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like a shadow that follows you.
And fire, too. Like, say you've been through a traumatic event. You might escape the actual fire, but the scars, emotional scars, the psychological impact.
It's with you.
It does. And even disease beyond just like the physical symptoms, it can totally change your whole perspective on your body, on like mortality.
It really makes you rethink things.
Right. Like
Yeah.
all these invisible residues, they shape us in ways we don't even realize.
Yeah, and it's not just about cleaning up the mess afterwards. It's about dealing with those deeper consequences too.
Totally. And then there's that part of the quote that says residues gradually increase. It's like that saying, interest never sleeps. The longer you let things fester, the worse they get.
It's like an invisible tax on your well-being.
I like that. An invisible tax. And it's not just personal either, right? This whole idea of residues increasing, it applies to like society as a whole. Think about systemic issues like poverty or inequality. Like if we don't address the root causes, those residues of injustice, they just build up over time.
Yeah, generation after generation.
And it leads to even bigger problems down the line.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle.
So, okay, we've got these residues, both tangible and intangible, and they're piling up on us like emotional clutter. And then the quote hits us with, they should never be kept. It's like a warning bell, right?
It is, but there's also hope in that.
Yeah, like we can actually do something about this.
We absolutely can. On a practical level, think about managing your finances, being smart about fire safety, taking care of your health.
Right, the basics.
But then, metaphorically, it gets deeper. It might mean going to therapy or learning to forgive or even, pushing for social change to address those bigger systemic issues.
So powerful. And it makes me think about this time I let a small financial mistake totally spiral out of control. I kept putting it off. I'll deal with it later. Famous last words.
We've all been there.
Oh, yeah. But if I had just dealt with those residues of debt head on, I could have saved myself so much stress.
That's such a good point. And it shows how this quote, even without knowing the context, it speaks to all of us. It's a reminder to be mindful, to recognize those residues we're carrying, and to make a conscious choice not to keep them.
So true. So listeners, we're throwing this one back to you. What residues might you be carrying? And what steps can you take to let them go? It's a big question, but this deep dive has given us a lot to think about. Until next time, happy residue clearing, everyone.
See you next time.